Morning, everyone. My name is Kevin McLaughlin, Kitman Labs. I'm a former professional rugby player. I played for my national team, Ireland, for the last 10 years. Had to retire a couple of years ago due to injury. Out of the 10 years of a career I had in rugby, I spent 5 years on the bench due to injury. So working for a company like Kitman Labs that specializes in turning data into insights to prevent injury and improve performance is something I'm very passionate about, and I hope this passion will come across in my presentation. Why do key players get injured all the time today? Why does Harry Kane this year get injured at a key stage of the season? The exact same thing happened for Tottenham last season when they were contenders in the league. We now know more about our players than we ever have been before. There's the ability to collect data on every single athlete, thousands of data points every day. We know more about them than we ever have before, or do we? Right now, we can tell that Harry Kane ran 10 kilometers yesterday. We can tell that he slept for 8 hours, but so what? What does that actually mean? The problem with data is that the problems that sports teams that are trying to solve are extremely complex. We know that human beings are complex. Performance is complex. The way individuals, players, athletes break and get injured is extremely complex. So using a binary approach by looking at the data that teams collected just simply isn't working. To give you a taste for just how complex this problem is, this is a team that Kitman Labs works with that collects the least amount of data. These guys collect 33 data points, perform 9 calculations on that across 8 timelines. And just based off those 33 data points, every time a player enters the field of play, there are 2,376 univariate possibilities for how they might get injured. If you believe that injuries are multifaceted, like the scientific approach would agree with today, there's almost 3 million multivariate possibilities for how they could get injured every day. What I'm saying to you, it's impossible for the human brain to look at data and comprehend the complexity involved. That is where Kitman Labs comes in. We've taken a contextual, multivariate, analytical approach, something that's incredibly complex, and made it contextual and simple for teams to use the insights we provide through our athlete management system day to day to manage their players better, to improve performance and reduce injury rate. It's so important to understand that the approach we take with every single team, with every single individual is different. There's no two people in this room right now that perform the same, get injured the same. And we apply a really, really bespoke and individualized approach with all the teams we work with. I'll give you a really quick example. Here's a Major League Soccer team we work with today, and they didn't understand how to manage the different cohorts of players they had within their squad. They're players who had a shorter preseason. They're players who were returning from World Cup duty in the summer. They're players who weren't as fit as others. They're players who were older from a demographic standpoint, guys over the age of 27. You can see we're all really high-risk category players for this team. And what we did is we allowed them to use their data to put very, very focused plans in place to reverse these injury strategies in a really, really focused, soccer-specific way. The exact same team had a terrible trouble with hamstring injuries in 2017. They didn't know why. They had 1,000 data points in every player, but they had no idea why this was happening. We looked at the data, analyzed it, and turned it into something that they could use to prevent this from happening in 2019, to allow them to have a more intense preseason, get more exposure to high-speed running, and actually build up the resistance for the season through preseason training. And then finally, they knew game congestion impacted on risk. You can see here, fascinating, if they played 5 games in 15 days, they were 5 times more likely to get injured. And they believe this has to happen, they're playing more games. But what was actually happening is that they were having less intense training because of the intense game schedule, and as a result, the players were getting unfit during these periods and breaking down. They had the data, but they didn't understand. We allowed them to understand this and put preventative measures in place. So this is our approach around turning data into insights is getting rapid adoption right across the world of sport today. We're working with some of the biggest brands because we're turning their data into insights they can use. We had 3x growth in 2018. We expect that to be 6x this year. And this is why. We're not just talking about providing insights. These leagues are talking about injury rates rising right across the world of sport today. We're having a real impact. American football, everyone's talking about injury rates. First year in working with the Buffalo Bills, we reduced their injury rate by 60%. Our approach is working, and we have validation of that. And then finally, we hire people with professional sporting backgrounds who played in sport, who've worked in sport, who understands the problems. And as a result, we're building solutions that map directly back to solving those problems in a really, really focused, strategic way. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kevin, thank you very much. So, ex-rugby player, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. A beautiful example of how we can actually use innovation and technology to support, the analog human beings that we are, keeping them healthy and performing.
Thank you, Kevin. Impressive presentation. What's the business model behind? How do you license the software? Is it based on a monthly fee, or you base it on the number of players or the interactions inside the app? Thank you.
It's a SaaS-based model. It's an annual licensing fee. Typically, teams sign a 3-year deal with us, and they pay per squad. So if they've got just their senior team, it's X cost. If they want to bring in all their academy teams, it's an increased cost.
And are you integrating your system with other systems in the market to exchange the data via API?
Great question. Yeah, we built passive integrations with about 10 of the main third-party vendors: Catapult, StatSports, Amiga Wave, all the really key vendors. We've got a list of about 100, and we have a full-time integrations team building those passive integrations, because it has huge implications on data quality and ease of life in terms of getting data into our system for analysis.
And how do you work together with the teams on a daily basis? Do you have also people on ground working with the team?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways. Firstly, we work with them really intensely at the start to get set up the platform and the way they want to use it, to provide the insights back within our athlete management software so they can use it day to day. And then secondly, we have an in-app service so they can connect directly to our sports science team. People like Darcy Norman, who've worked for the DFB, who can get online and actually chat with them about best practice, how to use their data in the best possible way, and actually provide that consultancy, hands-on service as well.
Okay, Kevin, thank you very much. So we have 10 seconds. I need you to do something with this probably also German-based crowd. I don't know whether you know, but the German team was this close to actually joining the Rugby World Championship, which starts in September. I think the Canadians knocked them out. Why should the Germans be promoting rugby more?
Rugby is the best sport in the world.
Thank you.
Although my nose doesn't tell that picture.